All Fork Sports. It was a battle of the tomato cans last night for Showtime. Oh, I didn't mean to say that. I mean, battle of the B class fighters and up and coming fighters. You know, the cans were in, but the bands will make them dance. Bands will make them. Hey, it's all for the money. And hey, if I'm an average fighter and I can still get a Showtime slot and they'll pay me to do it, I'm in there. So who cares? That said, Eubank Jr. fought last night versus degale. The other fight was Joyce versus Stavern. I think those are the two climatic fights of the night. I want to get into what I saw from Big Joe. Like I've mentioned before, Stavern right now at 40 years old, he needs to really look at retirement. Joyce is a pretty methodical fighter. He hasn't necessarily disappointed me as a fighter, but he hasn't made me say, oh, wow, right? This heavyweight era is getting to the point where it's probably 3/4 of the way away from the Shannon Briggs era. I think that era was better. There was more fighters in that range. Mike Grant, there were so many in that range. Leonard Lewis, older Holyfield, James Toney. That era was better, but you got to take what you got. And I think the talent level at this time may be a bit higher with our champions in Mr. Anthony Joshua. We got Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker, Dylan White, Tyson Fury. I think the talent, those four are able to hold the candle. You can mismatch those fights all through the next 4 years, and it'll be great matches. And there could be some outliers that jump in there. There always will be. There will always be a next talent that come up. Because for me, boxing is a sport of ages. And the more you fight, the more hits you get. It's kind of like the new car. You put miles on it. The more you get hits, the more problems that you have. So with all that being said, Joyce fought last night. He's an up-and-comer. He's an older up-and-comer, but he is a heavyweight. And those guys can last longer. You remember Big George Foreman. So, pretty good fight. Didn't knock the hell out of the guy out. I mean, Joe Stavern should have been knocked out clean. That's what Deontay Wilder did to him. Joyce is so methodical with his punches. Good jab. Pretty good movement, but always has been stiff. I don't know what to do to make him unstiff. He is what he is, but he has a strong jab, strong output. Won by technical knockout. But I do not like the competition that he's fighting right now. He needs to level up. He doesn't need to fight a high-up heavyweight, maybe a Chris Arreola. Somebody whose game was going to give him some rounds. I think that should be his next fight. A big step up would be Chris Arreola. But Bernie Stavern at current state was supposed to be the Chris Arreola. He's not there anymore. He didn't look in shape. And I'm hoping that he looks at retirement. Pretty good career, pretty good run. You were a champion at one point, So take your head off. You got your last paycheck. Time to call it quits. Start to begin the coaching end. Those knockouts were devastating, and your age is there. You're not gonna be able to survive, in my opinion, unless there's a total rebirth. I don't know what happened to Shannon Briggs. I would like to see Shannon Briggs versus somebody, because opposite end of Burns Stavern, where I say age kills you, Shannon Briggs appeared to get in tremendous shape. I don't know what it is, but he has, to me, one of the strongest short punches ever in the maybe top 10 in the history of boxing. So he doesn't throw the wild woo 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 that you hear the wind Deontay Wilder type punches. He throws the short kill yas, and I love to watch it because he get a lot of hits in without that much use of energy, and it was milliseconds instead of seconds when you're looking at Deontay Wilder. So Shannon Briggs is a guy I'm saying maybe look at returning against weaker competition for a couple B class fights. Get you 50, 100,000 and stick it in the bank if you need it, man. Either you can go box or trust me and invest in Alibaba or JD.com, because those are about to blow up. That said, I think that Joyce has to get a next level up, and I don't know who that's going to be. Eubank's fight, okay? That was long-winded on Joyce. That's a shame, but hey, I just had to talk about the heavyweight division. Eubanks Jr. Lost to George Groves. I would love to see George Grove come to the States. I would have loved to see George Grove against Canelo Alvarez. I think George Groves is a top 5 heavyweight, and he retired. I love his style, his intensity. One of the top British boxers. If you never heard of him, go look up George Groves. He great defensive fighter, good movement. He really took Eubank to school in that last fight. But now Eubank comes up against a C class or a B minus type fighter, and George degale. Jacob Plant is in the mix as well, but he took degale out. It was a pretty easy fight. Too much speed, too young. A good return fight to get his feet wet again, and to get over the loss of George Groves, which was a big fight for him. A lot of people were eager for him to win to move up to heavyweight status. Now he has to reclimb, and he has a couple windows of opportunity here. Uzaki, Plant. Again, Uzaki was beaten by Plant. So now maybe Uzaki versus Eubank, or do you throw Plant in there with the Wolves and have him go against Mr. Eubank Jr. over in England to get him a big payday? It'd be interesting. I say Plant needs another light fight to get him going, and then you can start throwing him in all these middleweight conversations. Again, I think Plant is the most dangerous fighter in the middleweight division. Eubank Jr. can be the most exciting, but he'll have a lot of trouble with Canelo. So Danny Jacobs is there. There's several fighters, Charlo brothers. The middleweight division is pretty tight, and you have to be on top of your game. This particular division, if we go back through the 90s and 80s, this is pretty high up there as far as the equality of the talent, and we should see some good matches. There's a lot of players, and there's a lot of people that can run up to the top. I got Saul and still GGG up there. Danny Jacobs is a close third. Charlo brothers, they really did. The last fight was scary. Herd. So many fighters, so many options. That's the division to watch, and then underneath that, the welterweight. But I would love to see Eubanks Jr. jump over to the East Coast and maybe fight some of these lower skilled middleweights, get his feet wet, and then maybe move into a Plant fight or test yourself, get into a Charlo fight, right? I love his movement. Again, he's very explosive. He's an athletic fighter. But what happens when somebody's defensively sound and slows him down? I think that's where you're going to see the holes. degale would definitely not be the guy to showcase some of the faults that Eubank Jr. has from a defensive liability standpoint. Go watch the George Groves fight, and you'll see everything you need to see. Anyhow, Off Work Sports, just a highlight of the scene. Middleweight division, a win for Mr. Joyce and another win for Mr. Eubank. Are they going to come to the U.S.? Will they begin stepping up the ladder? There's talent here. There's opportunity. Will he jump in? Will they jump in? All Four Sports, I'm out. Peace.